Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Friday, July 11th, 2025. I, of course, am here with your daily mortgage rate update, the only place on the web that's out there for everyone to gather for us to talk about what's going on with rates and pricing each and every weekday morning. Coming to you here on Friday. Um, but I'm going to keep it quick today. So, as far as today, what we'll be talking about, there's really not much to talk about. That's part of the reason the show's going to be quick today. So, there's got to be something to talk about. We'll take a look. We'll find something. But in the meantime, remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. I'm leaving on Sunday to head out to Texas for Veta VA summer camp. So I'll be on the road Monday to, all of next week and a couple of days from the next one. But I'll be on the actual road on Monday. So I'll be chatting with you then. But remember, you can join me live, Facebook and YouTube. I'll add some more channels soon. I just haven't gotten around to it. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget, please give me hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Don't forget to smash that like button. Give us a comment. Also, let's go ahead and say hi to the live folks, and then we'll jump in and get started. Good morning, Tom Dedmore, Brandy Brickler, Mike Brown, Rob Stewart, Randy Tico, Megan Bassell, Rob Smith, Amy Blauser, Deb Dixon, Tim Klyla, Yasmin Martin. So many familiar faces. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for joining me each day. I appreciate you. All right, let's get started. We're going to jump in. Because there's not a lot to cover, but we're going to cover it. So, first things first, quick recap what happened yesterday, and then we'll actually turn that into kind of where things are at. So over here, if we take a look yesterday, mortgage pricing comes out right around here, right around 10 a.m. We were right around 99.50 when mortgage pricing came out yesterday, right around 99.50. You could see here. And at this level, we actually ended the day a little bit better. It was improved just a hair. Basically around 99.55. So 5 basis points plus here, but that's not enough to really to get excited about. It's not enough to see anything improve. It was actually a good way for things to go, because based on the way we were going in the morning, and in fact, I'm going to put this on the 5 days so you could see, we were losing ground here, and it looked like we might drift lower. Now, this kind of gave us that little bounce, but then this morning we lost it anyway. I mean, you could see from where we were here, we're lower, and then we're lower. So this is where we're at right now. And that means that today rate sheets are going to be a bit worse. Bonds are off to a weak start. As you can see here, we're down 15 basis points to start the morning. Enough the pricing is going to be a little bit worse. Taking a look at what that means. I mean, we were at 6.79 yesterday, so it puts us right around that 6.81, just sort of where we were a couple of days ago. Again, overall, not much movement though. We're seeing small moves in pricing, but rates have been actually pretty stable with all of this. However, I got to tell you, despite repricers being low, I'm in a bit of a lock stance. I'm going to throw it on the bottom of the screen real quick. Anything less than 15 days, I'd be locking right now. I just don't feel all that great about where things are at. We've got Monday. I mean, you could argue, hey, we've got Monday, why bother to lock today? It's a Friday. I think things continue to drift on Monday. The opportunity is there for bonds to drift lower. There's really not much of a reason to expect them to move higher. And then we go into Tuesday. So, but anyway, looking at what we got here, reprice risk on the day is low. It is summertime on Wall Street. Things tend to slow down and be quiet. You're probably not going to see much more movement. However, we could see bonds continue to drift lower this morning. So instead of minus 14 bips, we might end the day around minus 20, minus 22. But even if we do, lenders will take that in stride. We won't see much of a reason to see them reprice worse. However, pricing this morning is likely to be a little more conservative. And again, that's why we think rate sheets this morning will be a bit worse and there won't be too much. As far as the outlook goes, it's not bad and it's not good. Right now, most of the emphasis is on next week's CPI inflation data and more importantly, how the market reacts to it. Now, the data itself, of course, matters, but how markets react to it. What I mean by that is right now, the markets believe the Fed is going to cut twice, right? We see that if we take a look here at, the CME group and their report, basically 3.75. That would be 2 rate cuts. I am up here. I'm in, let me scroll. I'm in the December, why did it jump over to that thing? Here we go. I'm in the December tab, right? So markets are basically 80% expectation that we'll see 2 rate cuts. 20% that we'll only see 1 rate cut, and markets are definitely expecting rate cuts to happen. There's still a pretty strong outlier that think that we will see more cuts, whether you want to call that 3 cuts or that cuts would increase by the end of the year. And this is why we could see rates creep a little higher. If expectation over the next couple of months kind of dries up this expectation that we'd see more rate cuts, if this increases, that'll cause pricing to lose some ground. But expectations for a July cut, when we take a look at everything, despite internal conflict, the accusations of impropriety about the Fed building, it seems like the Fed feels rates are not restrictive. And basically, remember something with the Fed funds rate. If it's too high, it's restrictive. If it's too low, it's too accommodative. The Fed thinks it's what do they call it? Like slightly restrictive or partially restrictive or whatever. They've got, a word that they use for restrictive, but basically they don't think it's too high. And the expectation of a rate cut in July, totally non-existent. 93% expect rates to be right where they're at right now. In September, this is where things start to change. It's still 2-1 right there, but markets are not totally bought into the fact of a September rate cut. The problem is we've got a few things happening. So this CPI inflation data that's going to come out next week is the one that everyone expects to see the tariff data hit. They expect to see inflation tick higher. If it doesn't, or it's less than anticipated, that can help bonds rally. Because of that, it means that we could see slightly better pricing. We're not going to see rates move drastically lower in any scenario. We're also not going to see them move drastically higher. But basically, when we're looking at, like, say, Mortgage News Daily and those rate sheets here, are we pushing back up to the 6.9s? Do we even have any 6.9s? Yeah, here we go. So are we pushing back up to the 6.9s over the next few weeks, or are we dropping back down to the 6.6s in the next couple of weeks? Right now, we're kind of smack in the middle of those, right around the 6.8, 6.82, right? So that's really the extent of our movement. Nothing to panic over by any means, but it is money. So if you've got loans closing near term, I don't know that it's worth the risk trying to float into the data, because if it hits on Tuesday and it's ugly, it probably is going to start. We'd probably see mortgage bonds lose ground. That would break us below these moving averages right here, and we'd probably see mortgage bonds move ground and drop. At least to the 50-day moving average, which is at 99.13. That would probably a lot more than that, though, because that's only 15, 18 basis points. So we're probably going to drop all the way back down here if that CPI data comes in hot. I'd say let's put it around that 98, 90-ish mark. If we take a look here, we could, again, you could draw lines anywhere on the charts and make them look like technicals. It's kind of one of the fun things, but I mean, we could argue that right around, we'll call it 98, 90, which wouldn't be terrible, but it's certainly not going to be great. But that could happen over the course of a few days next week if the CPI inflation data doesn't come in to help us. So that's my take on everything. Randy wants to know, how does the current rate compare in the long-term historical perspective? Let me see if I can answer that question properly, if I'm getting it right. So the long-term historical perspective, if we go to Mortgage News Daily, and let's get rid of everything but the 30-year just for a clean chart and an argument's sake here, you could see going back to the 1980s, Randy, that it has really, you can see there's a trend, and we're above that trend. Right. So if you were to take this as the median and call it, like that right here is kind of that average, then we're right on that average right now is what you would see if you do that. If you want to say more of since, post 2008 crash, where things came down, we're much higher above it. And that's why there's such an affordability problem right now, because, rates are higher, but home prices, we've talked about this before, home prices are really what's devastating more than rates. Other than these these COVID rates, let's call it that rates were around, you know, it's funny. When did it say they were in like 3.76? When did we have rates in the threes? August 2015. Does anyone remember that? Wow, August 2015, rates in the threes. I mean, we were really getting used to rates. I would say they were in the fours. I was at 4 1/8. So yeah, I guess they were in the threes, right? Between the threes and the fours in the aughts. But this was such a time of fixing. I mean, but home prices were increasing over this time in a gentle manner. The housing market's definitely broken, but that's because of what happened during the COVID period. So, but anyway, that's the time I got to answer that one and give it to you. Randy said, "Cool hat, thank you, sir." Yeah, this is my 4th of July hat or my Memorial. I usually wear this during those days. So, I did not sign up to go striper fishing. I'm not a big fishing guy, so but yeah, barn update. Oh, barn update. You want a barn update? All right, I'll give it to you real quick and then we'll get out of here. So thank you, sir. I always listen to you all asking me questions I'd love to answer, setting me up for the softball. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Let me push this down here. I'm going to get rid of my head for a minute so that you guys could see the picture full. All right. So just so that you don't know, this is what the second floor will look like when it's there. I've already got the 70-inch TV ready to go for the barn. But I've started putting insulation in there, got the insulation in the lower floor and started putting it in the upper floor. So here you go. Insulated the walls. I'll do the ceilings when I get back from Veta VA. I started doing them here, but I don't want them to fall down. Even this is rock wool, which is really great insulation, but then I got to wrap it in plastic for a vapor barrier. So I'm about this far. Here's the setup. I got that TV ready. Here's my couch ready. And the electric is getting on schedule. So that should be wrapped up. I should be in there by September at the latest, but hopefully towards the end of August, I will be in there. It won't be finished, but I'll be in there. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I got to hit the road. I'll catch y'all later. Have a fantastic day. I will see you on Monday from the road on the motorcycle. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.